Good morning, Everytama, and welcome back to another Sims 4 build video. I am a variety channel. I just got really obsessed with The Sims for a while. Anyway, this video is going to be a little different for me in terms that I am doing this unscripted, and I also just came from a stream, so I feel like maybe my social skills are honed a little bit. Anyway, let me talk about the build, because here you can see that I built a whole tiny blue suburban and I am bulldozing it because today, oh gosh, my microphone just fell. Today, I want to build a tiny home, and not just any tiny home. I want to actually build a tiny home filled with plants because I got the Blooming Rooms kit recently, and I really wanted to use that in a tiny home. I'd never built a tiny home with the intention of building a tiny home in The Sims, so this is, I guess, my first attempt of building a tiny home with the actual intention of building a tiny home. So I didn't want it to be like, you know, this small blue suburban that I built in the beginning. I wanted it to look like how a tiny home looks. We've all seen them. They were like a huge fad, like maybe last year. So instead of just like going into it from like my imagination, because I've been watching a lot of Sims videos recently, obviously. So if I just follow my imagination with this, I'm gonna just make a blue suburban because, you know, obviously I've been watching a lot of Little Simsy. So instead I went to Pinterest. So instead I went to Pinterest and looked for tiny homes there to get a little bit of inspiration. And a lot of those tiny homes were like more modern-y. So I did want to give it a more modern feel. And I think I definitely succeeded in that. I really like how it came out in the end. I know I'm saying a lot. I do this on stream too. I say, my social skills are honed. They are not honed at all. I am still a socially awkward piece of shit. Anyway, I put these like, what do you call these? I don't know what they're called. I put those like, what do you call them? The fake roofs, the plank roofs. I put those above the porch. I think it looks very cute. It gives it a really like textured look on the outside. And on the inside, there really isn't so much space. So for the inside, first, I tried a bunch of different layouts. I tried the kitchen on the right. I tried the kitchen on the left. Honestly, I feel like maybe instead of a staircase, I might have used a ladder if I was to do this again, but I didn't do that. Also, this video is also different from my previous video in the sense that this video was recorded just for YouTube. This is not from a stream. So I definitely have less editing work to do on this. Although I did do something new with the editing. I did put like a little montage at the end, like a little, you know, one of those little house showcase type things that they have on those house shows, you know, on TLC. They have shows about houses. I did that. I did a little like house showcase at the end. So stick around until the end to see that. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I got the idea from Fake Gamer Girl. Go check her out on YouTube as well because she's amazing. I think she's really funny. I watch her videos and Little Simsy and Plumbella, of course, and Vixella. All those Sims YouTubers. I've been watching them like crazy. Anyway, I tried a bunch of different layouts for this. It was just so small. I feel like I wanted to put a complete kitchen in here, and that really wasn't working because it's a tiny home. You don't need or you shouldn't want a complete kitchen. I also did this thing where I got a separate, like the stove is separate from the, oven. The stove is separate from the oven, and that might have been a mistake. I don't know why I did that, honestly, because in a tiny home, obviously you're going to want to utilize as much space as you want, and instead of like putting an oven in the cabinets or having one of those oven stove combinations, I chose to have the most space consuming option of having a stove and a toaster oven. But it is done. I can't undo it. I think it did come out looking pretty cute, but if I had not done that, maybe I would have had more space to work with. Although that's the challenge of these tiny houses, isn't it? It's to challenge yourself to use the space in a way that maybe you wouldn't expect, or maybe it's a little bit inconvenient. I don't know. It should be convenient. I was actually considering living in a bus. I'm claustrophobic, so maybe it's not the best idea, but I was considering, moving into a bus home with my fiance. I think that would be really fun. And I've seen a lot of those bus homes. They're really, really functional, and they have the space divided so well that it still feels like it's pretty spacious. I do not think that my tiny home came out feeling spacious. Quite the opposite. My tiny home came out feeling quite claustrophobic, at least on the bottom floor. On the top floor, you can see that I made it a loft, because I think making it a loft definitely gives it a more spacious feeling upstairs. And maybe also downstairs, like the fact that it is a loft, maybe like not having a tiny box to live in is better for the downstairs too, because then it makes it feel a little bit more spacious, even though the practical space that you do have to move around is not as big. I was really struggling also with the shape of the bathroom, because I definitely wanted to fit a complete bathroom in here, but I did not know how to go about that or where to even put it. I had considered to just put the outhouse outside. But I don't think that counts. And I would have had the tiles for it. I had seven extra tiles that I could have used, but this is basically how it came out. I gotta say, I'm, for my first time intentionally making a tiny home, it's all functional, and it doesn't look terrible. I will say that in real life, tiny houses have a lot more functionality than in The Sims. In The Sims, you do get perks from having a tiny home. Like you build your skills faster. You build your skills faster depending on what type of tiny home you have. Like you have micro homes, tiny homes, and then small homes, I believe. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure about that. But basically, I think I have the largest size tiny home here that you can have. I don't know how I would have fit an entire house in the smallest amount of tiles of tiny home. My mistake was probably also putting a porch. Not sorry about that. If you like what you hear, come to my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/PurritoVT. But I think my mistake maybe was putting a porch. It did take up a lot of tiles, and yes, they do count as tiles for your tiny home. Just because it doesn't have a roof doesn't mean that it's not part of your tiny home. But the entire point of this tiny home was to fill it up with plants, so that's what I did. I did get that Blooming Rooms kit, and it came with a lot of fun plants. I also have a bunch of other plants, just from the base game plants or from other packs. I don't remember if it's before this or after this, but I also did get the romantic garden stuff, which does also come with a lot of plants. And the spa day stuff also comes with a lot of plants. So I used a bunch of plants in this because that was the whole idea. I wanted it to be green. I feel like in the end, I could have used more plants. I used a lot of plants outside, and that wasn't really the idea. Like, the idea was more to use a bunch of plants inside, but I can never focus on one thing. So I think the loft space came out looking really cozy. I would definitely enjoy that loft space. It's not too small. It's not too claustrophobic. It's definitely also, not giant. One thing I did want to do for this is to use really big windows to make the space seem more open, even though it's, a small space. But I had the issue in the beginning of putting too many large windows. So it was also a bit of a challenge for me to find a balance between larger windows and smaller windows and where to put the larger windows. But I think in the end, we came out with a good amount of large and small windows, respectively. I really need to stop saying, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm pretty nervous recording this. As I said, this is entirely unscripted. So every time I make a little mistake, I'm cursing myself. This is the first time I'm doing an unscripted video. Obviously, my live streams are all unscripted. I don't even understand or know how you would make a scripted live stream. So many things happen in a live stream that could never be scripted, like the way the chat reacts and the things like the channel points that chat redeems. But I think it's definitely possible. I was watching, I don't remember whose YouTube video, but someone did a YouTube video, or I guess maybe a lot of people did YouTube videos about this, but there was a YouTube video about TikTok live streams. And this one particular TikTok live stream stream was literally just a recording of a guy yelling into the camera. Not even yelling, like screaming at the top of his lungs, like begging people for donations. And it's crazy because it worked. It worked. I don't see that type of thing working on Twitch or YouTube, but apparently on TikTok it does. TikTok is fucking crazy, man. I don't frequent TikTok. I know I should because I'm a content creator, so I should be more involved with TikTok. It's quickly becoming one of the biggest social media platforms out there, so I should probably be on there a little more often, but sometimes I go on TikTok and I see stuff that traumatizes me to the core, and I'm just like, all right, that's enough TikTok, or like just the internet in general for today. No, I'm serious though. TikTok is a crazy platform. I don't think I'm ready for TikTok. I posted a couple of TikToks and I'm very proud of them, but you know, some of them, or one of them in particular, fucking went viral-ish. For me, at least. For me, it went viral in my eyes. And then my other TikToks like really didn't do so well, even though I put a lot more effort into them than the one that went quote unquote viral. So I was I was kind of scared. I know that as a content creator, I probably shouldn't care so much about if my stuff goes viral or how many views it gets, but TikTok has a scary amount of views. Like if something has a lot of views, it has an insane amount of views. And then when something has not so many views, in contrast, it's a lot scarier. Anyway, since I made such a tiny home, I also had a lot of yard to worry about. I did choose one of the smaller lots in Newcrest to build this on, but even so, there was a lot of yard to worry about. So I did also do a fair share of landscaping. I'm not the best at landscaping. I wouldn't say my landscaping skills are impressive by any means. I think it did turn out to look kind of cute in the end, the landscaping. I did a lot of things that, you know, you would expect from a big yard, like a pond, lots of plants, you know, maybe not the best kept grass. I definitely wanted it to mix in well with the plant theme that we had going on inside. Although I feel, once again, I think I have to say this. I could have used more plants inside. If the inspiration for this was plants, then there should have been more plants. But there's lots of plants outside. There's lots of foliage outside, trees, there's a pond, there's, what are those called? Lily pads in the pond. Those are plants, right? And so I just felt like I had to do something with the yard. Otherwise, it would be very naked compared to the rest. I also think maybe I could have furnished the inside of the house with more furnishings. But honestly, I really don't see what I would have put inside. There really isn't space inside of this house. The bathroom in this house takes up so much space that I don't think I could have justified using more furniture or using more decoration. Now that we have the clutter kit, I might have put more clutter, considering clutter doesn't really take up much space and you can just like clutter up a small area with a lot of clutter. But we didn't have the clutter kit back then when I was making this. So I was just kind of working with what I had. I'm also notoriously bad at cluttering, or I say notoriously, but there's nothing notorious about it. You guys don't know me that well. I am very bad at cluttering, so it makes sense that I didn't do it for this one. Anyway, I think I have the video here in front of me, but I have to also edit this voiceover down. So I think we're probably at the end of the speed build. If you like this, please, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, follow my channel, or I guess subscribe to my channel. Check me out on all my other social medias. They're in the description below. And please enjoy this little montage that I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.